Well, there isn't a lot of time for nostalgia in the NFL. It's time to wake up for day 2 of free agency. This is your 49ers alarm clock coming off of Monday's very tough day for 49ers fans. This is the article I wrote up on the San Francisco Standard. We're going to delve into what exactly the 49ers are doing in the building because as sad as it might be for fans, given the history of this team, given the past 8 years, what San Francisco is doing does make sense. And we can analyze that and talk about what they are doing next following the losses of several players, including Kyle Juszczyk and Dre Greenlaw. First, we have an update this morning. The 49ers are tendering running back Jordan Mason at the level that we expected, $5.3 million for the second-round tender. Mason ran extremely well in the 2024 season. So well that I expect there to be interest from other teams around the league after he signs this tender. Take a look at this from SF Data Niners. Rushing yards over expectation per attempt on the x-axis, stacked box rate faced on the y-axis. Jordan Mason faced more stacked boxes, which means boxes of 8 or more defenders, than anyone in the league, including Derrick Henry. And anytime your dot is near Derrick Henry's, that's a good thing. Mason's been at 5.3 yards per carry over the course of his 3 seasons with the 49ers. The second round tender makes sure that San Francisco can keep him unless another team wants to pay more than the $5.3 million, in which case they'll have to send the 49ers a second round pick. I highly doubt that another team will be willing to send a second-round pick for Jordan Mason, but after he signs his tender, he will still maintain trade value. In fact, the 49ers traded Matt Breida back in 2020 in a similar situation, signed his second-round tender. 9 days later, the 49ers shipped him off to the Dolphins for a fifth-round pick. San Francisco may want to keep Mason at $5.3 million. Running back depth behind Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerrero is important, or they might deal him if they are looking to stock up on even more 2025 draft picks. And that is exactly what is going on in San Francisco's building. They are looking to build through the draft, the very cost-controlled draft. The 11 picks that they have right now will cost only $14 million against the 2025 cap. Compare that with the mass exodus of yesterday, the money that went elsewhere. $77 million to Aaron Banks from the Green Bay Packers, $60 million to Charvarius Ward from the Indianapolis Colts, $45 million to Talanoa Hufanga from the Denver Broncos, $35 million to Dre Greenlaw, also from the Broncos, $30 million to backup 49ers tackle Jalen Moore from the Kansas City Chiefs, $8 million to Josh Dobbs from the New England Patriots, and $3.5 million to Elijah Mitchell from Kansas City. That totals $258.5 million. Funny enough, if you take that total, that sum, $258.5 million, add the $17.5 million in savings that the 49ers got by trading Deebo Samuel to Washington, and consider the around $4 million or so in savings that the 49ers got from releasing Kyle Juszczyk, you total $280 million. The size of the salary cap, the entire salary cap this year is $279.2 million. So the 49ers essentially saved one entire salary cap's worth of money. And remember, the cap space flows from year to year. So that's what the 49ers were able to cut from the budget or not re-sign to their budget. This is clearing the books, trimming the fat, moving forward. I have this book laying here. Bill Walsh didn't work with a salary cap, but he was just as ruthless with the moves that he made. The Bill Walsh premise, the Bill Walsh philosophy was to let go of a player a year too early rather than a year too late, and to find his replacement in the NFL draft or find his replacement through some more cost-controlled youth. And that's exactly what the 49ers made sure to do with most of the departures, but not all of their departures on Monday. For example, Luke Farrell, the tight end signing, 3 years for the 49ers. He's there to replace Kyle Juszczyk. If you watch Luke Farrell's tape, He's doing a lot of what Kyle Juszczyk did blocking-wise, except now he comes at this from a 6'5" height, so a more tight end-oriented height, and it marks a shift, a stylistic shift in the 49ers offense that we'll talk about in a little bit. Dominic Pooney, third-round draft pick from the 2024 draft, will replace Aaron Banks. He's at right guard, obviously, but Ben Barch is going to step in at that left guard position that Banks is vacating at about 1/19th of the cost. Barch making just over $1 million. Aaron Banks at $19.2 million per year from the Green Bay Packers. Second round pick from 2024, Renardo Green is set to replace Charvarius Ward opposite Deommodore Lenoir. Do the 49ers still have more work to do at corner? Of course. But the direct replacement for Ward, who signed for $20 million annually and who broadcast his intention to not re-sign with the 49ers because of the PTSD that he had suffering in the Bay Area following the death of his 23-month-old daughter, Amani Joy, that replacement had been figured to be Renardo Green. Malik Mustafa, the replacement for Talanoa Hufanga. Mustafa, fourth-round draft pick, had the best coverage grades, best coverage scores of any NFL safety his rookie season. So you can easily see how that is a swap for Talanoa Hufanga. And then Elijah Mitchell was a backup running back. Isaac Guerendo is a backup running back. Of course, we will see what the 49ers are doing with Jordan Mason. Now, look here at the bottom. The 49ers have some gaping needs still to fill here as day two begins. Defensive tackle is open right now. There's a gap there. Malik Collins is going to be released. Javon Hargrave is going to be released. Linebacker, I don't think that they were quite fully braced for that one. I think that it was likely that Dre Greenlaw was going to leave, but the 49ers were competing for his services. Since he goes to Denver, they're going to have to figure out what to do there. Does that mean that D. Winters moves up to linebacker 2, or do the 49ers pursue another player? Then there's quarterback 2. 49ers in conversations with Jameis Winston after Josh Dobbs signed elsewhere, and general depth shortages across the defense. Now, Joey Bosa might sign with the 49ers today. He might also sign with the Dolphins today. When I talk about general depth shortages, I mean, every position you could always be better at edge. I think what's most important to emphasize is that San Francisco's defense was not good last year. Change had to happen. This team finished number 26 overall defensively and number 29 against the run. It was bad. It's been a deteriorating situation. There has been attrition across the 49ers defense over the years. So the 49ers are now in a position where they realize that diminishing returns were upon them. And if diminishing returns are upon you, then you have to change course. You have to change direction. I mean, you can just look at something like this to see how bad it had gotten for the 49ers defense over the years. Red is bad, blue is good. And by 2024, the run defense was down at number 29. The pass defense was down to number 18. The total defense was down to number 26 in EPA per play. Last time Saleh was around, it was all blue, 2019 and 2020. So they bring Robert Saleh back, and they let free agents sign elsewhere at what they deem to be overpays. And again, something had to change. You can't just run it back, especially when the foundation looked as broken as it did with the run defense down at number 29. So as you can see, so many of the departures happened on the defensive side of the ball. So a lot of the big money departures happened on the defensive side of the ball between Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, and Dre Greenlaw. Not saying that it was those guys' fault, but the 49ers need to, and Malik Collins was a player that was entirely separate of this. The release was broken the other day, but the 49ers needed to clear the way for a defensive overhaul. And when you're looking at things from the financial perspective and the fact that this team is about to move to a QB-centered salary cap situation, the defense is something that the 49ers have chosen to build through the NFL draft, where they are amassing a ton of picks. The departures here will turn into compensatory picks. In fact, the 49ers, before 6 hours were even up yesterday, were on track to pick up the maximum of 4 compensatory picks in the 2026 NFL draft, which means that they are on track to rack up 25 compensatory picks over the course of 5 seasons, which is by far the most in the entire National Football League. So it is cold-hearted business for the 49ers, who are looking to replenish this team through the draft the same way that the Philadelphia Eagles have replenished their defense through the draft when they've got a highly paid offense on the other side, the same way that the Los Angeles Rams, who had the lowest total spend on their entire defense this past year, are replenishing their defense through the draft. The 49ers are taking a page out of that book. But we can't forget that they are cutting Kyle Juszczyk. We can't forget that they have let free agents sign elsewhere. And even though they deem those to be overpays, that does not devalue the many great memories that the departing 49ers players have provided. Dre Greenlaw against Jacob Hollister in Seattle, 2019 at the goal line. Talanoa Hufanga, 2021 season, January 2022 against the Green Bay Packers. That was a moment to be remembered. And, of course, Kyle Juszczyk tossing away Minkah Fitzpatrick against the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019. That all happened. For the 49ers, they've got to treat it as water under the bridge. They have to move forward to team building now. And the first move to begin this Tuesday is a tender of Jordan Mason. We will see what the 49ers do more of moving next. Remember, this is a stylistic shift around Brock Purdy. I talked about this yesterday in the article. Luke Farrell is the new tight end. I think this signifies a shift from 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end, to 12 personnel for the 49ers, 1 back, 2 tight ends. But Farrell can still do a lot of the blocks that Kyle Juszczyk can execute. 49ers emphasize adaptability. He's just going to come at this from more of a tight end's perspective. Higher center of gravity, 6'5" instead of 6'2" or so. This is the article that you do need to check out on the San Francisco Standard. I do talk the stylistic shifts around Brock Purdy, but most importantly, I save time for the nostalgia that is absolutely necessary to acknowledge at this point. There is sadness, there's nostalgia. It is tough. This league is brutal. It's cutthroat. It's a business. You've heard all of those descriptions. Well, the 49ers are at an intersection right now, and perhaps nothing can close this off better than the final line of yesterday's piece, as I tried to bridge the gap from yesterday, Monday, to Tuesday. And it's going to read like this. It's a state of limbo where the 49ers are as a franchise after this callous day of attrition. Memories of the past, like Juszczyk's flattening of a hapless Pittsburgh safety in 2019, or Greenlaw's epic stand at the goal line in Seattle to close the season, have flooded back, but not in a particularly happy way, at least yet. The separation is too fresh, the nostalgia is too strong, and any relieving sense of renewal hasn't yet arrived. The 49ers' recent past has been ripped from their present, and entering day 2 of free agency, their future is up in the air.